So please join me in welcoming Miss Sally Anderson.
In elementary school, my family moved from Mali in West Africa to Italy in Europe. We had been living in Mali for about 6 years at that point. Big villa, nice school that I loved, friends, family nearby, language that I spoke. Moving to Italy, everything was different. It was a small apartment, new school, definitely didn't speak the language. While it wasn't my first move, it was definitely the first move that gave me culture shock. Mainly because I had to start everything over again. How do I find milk in the grocery store? How do I answer the phone properly? How do I introduce myself? By the time I was 14, I had moved about 4 times. Every single move was starting over, again and again. In fact, starting over was normal, expected. While living in multiple countries and experiencing the world the way that I do sounds exciting, it is. It's often with a mix of hope and vulnerability that you have to come to accept when it comes to starting over. In order for me to accept myself and who I was and how I was experiencing the world, I had to master 3 things for myself. The first being my identity, the second being my belonging, and my third, my perspective. So, who am I? I'm a TCK, a third culture kid. I have a parent from one culture, another parent from another culture, and I was raised in yet a third culture. This means moving around a lot, experiencing lots of different things. It also means having very hard time telling you who I am. When I applied to college, I had a very, very hard time. Not because my grades were terrible, but mostly because I could not figure out how to check all the boxes for all the questions that they ask you. Where's your country of residency? What's your first language? What passport do you use? All of these things had multiple answers, for me anyway. I couldn't choose. When I went to my college counselor and asked for help, she said, "Oh, no problem. English speaking, American from Virginia." I had been in Virginia about 6 months at that point. You see, identity is not something that you just show up with. Identity is all the little pieces that put together to make you. There are all the little patchworks stitched together with string that make you who you are as a whole. Identity is not solid. It's a mixture. It's all of your experiences that come together to show who you are. When I finally started to understand who I was, my next question became, where do I belong? Moving around, I feel like I belong everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I used to live in the French Alps with my 2 kids. One beautiful day in the summer, I decided that I was going to take them down to Geneva and we were going to do some exploring and we were going to do some shopping and maybe hit up some museums. The first museum that we went to had 3 kinds of tickets. Child ticket, €3. The adult ticket, €17. And the nanny ticket, €6. I pushed my double stroller My two little blonde babies, started fidgeting through my diaper bag to get my wallet. The cashier looked at me, he looked at the kids, and he goes, 2 children, 1 nanny. Relax. I took the nanny ticket because a discount is a discount. But also, well, I did spend the rest of the afternoon correcting the kids. Shh, not Mom, Sally. Uh, but I also knew something that the cashier didn't. I knew that belonging is not a place. It's not geography. Belonging is people. I was living in a small village, and I participated in every single village festival. I made food from places that I had lived and brought them to the weekly coffee meet with the little old ladies in town, and we chatted about whatever gossip was hitting the farmers that day. I belonged. I knew I belonged. I felt I belonged. And it wasn't because I was in the house. I had built relationships with people around me. Belonging is a WhatsApp group with your friends all over the world. Belonging is food that reminds you of your grandmother. Belonging is that friend who's always sending you reels. It's not an actual conversation, it's just reels. That's belonging. Belonging is something that you create, something you build, not something that's thrust upon you, and definitely not geography. With my sense of belonging and my sense of identity, the final piece is figuring out my perspective. A few years ago, I moved to Kuwait. Again, I'm starting over. It's a new language, new culture, new job, new home, new people. I walked up to my superintendent's office. I had some questions about a task that I need to complete. She was on the phone, looking very busy. She looks up at me as I'm standing in the doorway and she goes, "Now, I spent 7 years living in Italy. I knew that she was trying to tell me 2 things. Either, what do you want? Or even worse, what's wrong with you?" I got over it. I went back to my mentor and I got crazy. How dare she? She asked me to come here. Now she's acting like I'm some sort of freak. Unacceptable. I don't like it here. My mentor actually just laughed at me. He said, "You're overreacting. This means wait. It means be patient." I felt foolish and silly, but I also had to reflect because I realized that after spending all of this time traveling in all of these places, living amongst all of these people, that there's no right answer, that there are multiple truths, there are multiple realities, and that's freeing. It gives you the bigger picture. It lets you see the world for what it is, a beautiful patchwork of cultures, of foods, of accents, all put together neatly for you to enjoy. Identity is what you bring forward. Belonging is something you build. Perspective is what helps you see all the joy in the chaos. The law of conservation states, nothing is created nor destroyed. It's simply changed in shape. I don't think that moving and starting over was an end to any of my lives, but simply a new beginning, a starting over, and not starting over from scratch, where I have nothing to show for everything that came before me, but starting over from experience, starting over with all the homes, the food, the people, the music, the laughter that I've experienced in my life, and then bringing those things into my new life. So, to everyone and everything that ever showed me who I was, where I belonged, and how I perceive myself, Iniche, merci, shukran, and thank you.